This is gonna suck. Hello and welcome to the first episode of Fat Matt's Tats. I'm Matt. I have a hat. Isn't that something? So because this is the first video, let me just break down what this is going to be going on in the future. So this is just me giving advice and talking about tattoos and things to know before and after getting them. I'm going to be doing videos about my tattoos and the meanings behind them, Q&As, basically just me wasting my life away. Let's just get to the video. So you want to get a tattoo. Maybe it's your first tattoo, maybe it's your 100th. If this is like your 10th tattoo or something, you already know everything that I'm going to say is because somebody told you or you learned it the hard way. And that's why I'm making this, because there are some things that I wish people had told me before I got my first tattoo and kind of the process building up to it. I was the first amongst my friends to get a tattoo. So it was kind of uncharted territory for everybody, and I kind of had to learn through here, like, you know, through YouTube videos and things like that. But these are like the 10 essential things that I feel you should know before going to get a tattoo. And this is just my humble opinion. People that have gotten tattoos may agree or disagree, but it's just my humble opinion. And because I'm so humble, I decided to call this
Tattoo Commandments.
I'm all alone in an empty house.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Number one, know what you want. I'm not going to be the first person to tell you this, and I'm also not going to be the last. This is permanent. While I do agree that not every tattoo has to have a deep or significant meaning behind it, I do feel that there should be a little bit of a thought process that goes into it. This is definitely a decision that you don't want to make just off the cuff. I'm very indecisive. But when it comes to tattoos, this is kind of something that you want to plan out every little detail about. And depending on your tattoo artist, they may be willing to help you out in just sort of coming up with, like, you know, the small details and everything like that. The last thing you want, you know, is to get your tattoo and be like, oh, you know what? It would have been cool if I had like this added to it, or maybe done this with it, or I wish I had changed this about it. So like when you make a choice, make sure it's concrete, make sure you're like without a doubt in your mind, like this is what I'm wanting, this is how I picture it, this is gonna be on my body forever, and you should be all right. And I mean, depending on what your tattoo is, you can always go back and change or add stuff to it, but why not get it right the first time, you know what I'm saying? So number two, cheap tattoos are not good, and good tattoos are not cheap. This isn't really like a concrete rule, but this is sort of a caution. If you're wanting something very elaborate, something very detailed, and especially something that's gonna take up a lot of space, you are gonna be wanting to put forth as much money towards it as it takes for it to come out good and not looking like I've met a lot of people, you know, that say, oh yeah, I want something that like comes down my arm and like just comes all the way down to my wrist and basically covers their entire arm. And then they'll say something like, yeah, so that actually costs about like $100, right? And no, if you want your tattoo to look good, you're gonna have to put forth a certain amount of cash, and a pretty good one, towards it. But basically, if you're just not willing to put up a certain amount of cash towards getting the tattoo that you want, don't be surprised when it comes out looking like this or this. You know, like these things do occur with people that don't want to take the time, don't want to take the money, and again, it's permanent, so it's going to be on you. Number three, pick your artist like you pick your tattoo. When you want to get a tattoo, it's a very good idea to go and get a couple of opinions from a couple of different artists at a couple of different tattoo parlors. Now, there are two main reasons why you want to do this. One, to make sure that the tattoo artist isn't going to scam you. I do feel like sometimes maybe when a tattoo artist gets the idea that their client doesn't really understand tattoos or the prices, they may jack it up a little bit just because they know that they can't. Now, not all tattoo artists do this. I'm not going to claim that, but I'm not going to say it's impossible that this doesn't ever happen. Two, you're going to want to look at these artists' work. Every tattoo artist should have a portfolio, basically just like a binder. It's usually either in front of their tattooing area or at the front of the parlor. You can just look through it. Different tattoo artists have specialties in different types of tattoos, different designs. There's traditional, there's Japanese, there's photorealism, and based on what your tattoo is, you're going to want to get an artist that tends to have a specialty in that sort of department. Imagine the Sistine Chapel if it was painted by Pablo Picasso, you know what I'm saying? It would look very different. So you want to put just as much thought behind your tattoo artist as you do your actual tattoo. Okay, now this one comes with a but. Number 4, listen to your tattoo artist, but you don't have to agree with them. This is important to know. Now, depending on your tattoo artist, they've been doing this for 10 plus years, you know what I'm saying? So they do know what looks good and what's possible. I think we all agree that we've had an idea that, you know, when it was in our head, it looked really good. And then when we saw it actually executed in real life, you're like, oh, that didn't really go the way that like it looked in my head. You may want a tattoo in a spot that it doesn't really work there with like the curvature of your arm or like the bending of like different parts of your body and stuff like that, and your tattoo artist may say, hey, you may want to get this in like a different place, and you should definitely take your tattoo artist's opinion into consideration. But at the same time, this is going on your body, and so if you're just like hell-bent about a thing, and you're just like, no, I want it like this, I don't want it any other way, then you do need to speak clearly, but know that you could be wrong, but also know that you could be right. I'll give an example of each. So when I got this text on my arm, I originally wanted it in this calligraphy, you know, that was very intricate and had a lot of interweaving lines. And the guy was just like, over time, it's going to become less and less legible until it's just kind of like a smeary blob on your arm. So you're going to want to go with a text font that's more plain, so that over time you can actually preserve what the words are, you know. But when I got the wolf on my arm, the first tattoo artist that I went to basically said, hey, look, there's no way you can do that and make it look good, you know. It's gonna look more like a dog instead of a wolf. And he drew me up this wolf, and it had like the head down, and it was all like angry and like snarling, and I didn't really like that. So I followed rule number 3, and I said, let me go and get another guy's opinion. And I said, you know, this is what I'm wanting. And he was like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, that's fine. And he did it, and personally I think this is my best tattoo. This is my favorite tattoo. So just based off those 2 examples, sometimes they're right, sometimes you're right. In the end, no matter what, as long as you're happy with the end product, that's what's important. Moving on. Number 5. On the day, this is your number 1 priority. So basically, whether you make an appointment, and especially if you're planning on doing a walk-in, on the day that you're planning to get your tattoo, your day needs to essentially revolve around this tattoo. The best case scenario, you're gonna be in a tattoo parlor for an absolute minimum of 1.5 hours. Now, depending on like maybe you wanna change something, maybe the artist, you know, whatever the case, whatever could happen, it's so unpredictable. But don't make an appointment at 6 o'clock if you need to be somewhere at 8 o'clock. So like, that's just essentially what I mean. I definitely recommend setting up an appointment, but again, depending on what the tattoo is, sometimes it's not called for. Now with my chest tattoo, that was a straight walk-in. So basically how the walk-ins worked at the tattoo parlor where we got it done was you would call them when they opened, which was basically like 12 p.m. At that point, they would put your name down on a piece of paper, and they would just kind of work through the list throughout the day and between their appointments when they could. And so you were like on call pretty much. From when they open to when they close, at any point they could call you, and if you wanted your tattoo done that day, you had to be like ready to go. And the whole reason why I say this, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to either rush your tattoo artist or actually leave the parlor when your tattoo is incomplete, and then you have to come back and get it done after the fact, and then your tattoo artist may make you pay extra because it's basically like a brand new appointment. But it's extremely important. Make sure that there isn't any conflict, anything that can come up. If you do feel that there may be some type of a conflict, definitely schedule your tattoo for a different point in time. You shouldn't be in a rush to get your tattoo or to make the appointment because it's going to be on your body for the rest of your life. So you have all the time in the world to get your tattoo. It's not going to go anywhere, you know what I'm saying? Number 6, make sure you're clean, full, and smell great. Okay, so from this point on, it's like when you're actually in the tattoo parlor going to get your tattoo. Again, depending on where your tattoo is, your tattoo artist is going to be extremely close to you for some amount of time. Because of that, make sure you put on deodorant, make sure you put on perfume or cologne, make sure you've taken a bath, actually, just do that before anything else. Make sure you brush your teeth, because there are times where tattoo artists like to talk to you, get to know who you are as a person while they're doing your tattoo, and you don't just want to be puffing stinky ass breath in their face. So basically, just for everybody's best interest, be clean, smell great, and it's going to enhance your experience, because when your tattoo artist is happy, you're happy. This is another one that comes with a but. Number 7, it's okay to take breaks, but, and there's really no other way to say this, don't be a bitch. Tattoos don't hurt in the way that some people think tattoos hurt, but, I mean, when you're getting a pin that's essentially stabbing you and breaking up your skin for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, yeah, it can build up, and it does kind of hurt. There are some people that don't like to take breaks because they think it's like a sign of them being weak or whatever, but no, like, if you need to get up and like stretch your arm, bend, or just allow your skin to breathe, then yeah, that's totally cool. However, you don't want to turn a 1.5 hour tattoo into like a 2 hour tattoo. And like, what I mean by that is like, you don't want to be stopping every like 5 or 10 minutes. There are times where you just gotta like tough through the pain, just for like as much time as you can, because the more time you spend in the parlor, the actually more expensive. Most tattoo artists charge by an hourly rate, so the more and more breaks that you take, that's just more money coming out of your pocket. Now, I personally don't think that there's like a take one break for every like 1.5 hours, or like there's no like time code to it, but just like, yeah, like when you feel like, okay, maybe I just need to stop for a bit, when you feel like that, you know, you just go ahead and take that break, you know, but keep it within reason. Number 8, not tipping is not an option. You're not going out to eat at a restaurant, okay? You are getting a piece of art crafted by an artist on your arm. That shit costs money. No, I don't know where that came from. Your tattoo artist is hopefully doing the best work that they possibly can to make sure that your tattoo looks the best that it possibly can. And tattoo ink is expensive. That's why the tattoo itself, kind of the price is high, because to get the ink is like a lot of money. I don't even know how much, but I know that it's a lot. And so tips are not just like a good help, they are a requirement. Now, how much the tip is kind of depends on the tattoo, the amount of time that was spent. But I would say absolute minimum, I would say if your tattoo took less than 1 hour, somewhere between 25 and $50. And if your tattoo took over 1.5 hours, I would say minimum is $50. And that's like absolute minimum. The only time I would say don't tip somebody is if they like destroyed your arm. Like if they just like ruined it beyond repair. But if you've practiced the previous steps, then you shouldn't be in that situation anyway. But anything can happen. But if they did their best to give you as close to what you wanted as possible, tip them. Not an option, not up for debate, not a negotiation. This is a business, this is a job. These people have bills to pay, possibly have kids that need to eat. So tip them, don't be cheap, don't be stingy. I'll be honest, when I go out to eat places, I don't tip. But hey. I only go out to eat when I'm with a crowd of people. So basically everyone chips in like $2 or $3, and by the time that everyone else is paid, the tip is like $15, and I'm like, that should be enough. Get out of here. That was a tangent that we don't need. I probably won't put it in the video, but if I do put it in the video, I'm an idiot. Number 9, and this to me is probably the most important tip, and if you get anything out of this, I want it to be this. In the end, only your opinion matters. This is for when the tattoo's done. This is for the rest of your life. When you have this tattoo, it doesn't matter what your friends think. It doesn't even matter what your parents think. It's what you think of your tattoo. And if you're content with it, and if you're pleased with it, and if you think it's just the greatest thing in the world, then that is enough for you. Be right back. I gotta blow my nose. It's your tattoo, okay? It's on your body. You have to live with this the rest of your life. Other people, they just have to look at it. Now, some people look at it more than others, depending on maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a spouse or a significant other, maybe it's a parent. This tattoo is on you. this tattoo does not define you, but it does become a part of you. Just like an arm, just like, you know what I mean? This becomes a part of you. And it's a representation of who you are. And you should be happy and content with who you are as a human being, as an individual, as a creation of God. Whatever you think or believe in, you should be happy with you. And that's very important to me because for a long time I struggled with accepting myself and loving myself and different things like that. And that's not why I got tattoos, but the tattoos definitely helped me just feel more positive and confident about myself as an individual. Again, that's not the reason why I got them, but it's an effect of having. What would the Sistine Chapel be without all of its paintings? You know what I'm saying? So whatever the case, whatever the tattoo, make sure it's something that's going to help you love you even more. And going on to our last tip. And the last tip to close it out, you guessed it, number 10, this is permanent. It's as quick and easy as that. I put this at the end because although people tell you all the time that tattoos are permanent, when you start playing it and it gets in your head, it becomes more and more like it's going to be an actual thing. There is that permanency part that kind of gets left out because you're so excited and caught up in planning and things like that you do forget about that sometimes. So I wanted that to be the very last thing that you hear before going to get your tattoo, to just remind yourself of the reality of this situation, which is that this is permanent. This is going to be on your body for the rest of your life. As long as you understand that and accept what that means, then you're good to go. Go out there, get your tattoos, and stay happy, stay humble, love yourself. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. Be back next week. Oh, real quick,